Bonjour.
Hey,
Hello, everybody.
sorry about that.
No worries.
I forgot that I have to admit people. I should turn that off. That's really annoying.
It's all right.
Having to admit people.
Yeah. I didn't look at my screen that said you guys are waiting, and I'm like, where are these guys? Slackers? Jesus.
These slackers. Oh my god.
I mean, the last part was accurate.
Yeah, that's for sure.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. You good?
Doing all right. Getting Studio One fired up here.
Is it winter in Cleveland yet?
No, it's beautiful. It's fall weather.
Lucky.
Sunny. It's actually it's gonna be crappy the rest of the week. And yes, winter is coming. Winter is coming.
Lucky. It's
Well, okay.
fucking
What is the weather like
Yeah.
where you are, Neil?
it's hot.
Is it
It's-
still like 80 degrees?
Yeah, 84, 85. It's stupid hot. We had a little tease of a cold front for a while, and we were like, oh, it got down in the 50s. Ooh, yay. And now it's just hot again. And it's like 80 something degrees. So it's like it's hot and obnoxious, but not hot enough to where like, oh, let's just go to the pool or the beach or something like that. No, it's stupid hot.
Well, I mean, if you want the weather in England, it's just raining now because it's November. So it will just be raining now. You can message me any day. Message me any day. What's the weather, Ben? It'll be raining. That's how it works. So there we go. We've done weather chat for the start of the podcast.
Hi, and welcome to Sound Discussion. Each episode, we discuss a music topic which we have all had first-hand experience with. These will be anything from getting started, recording, playing live, mixing, mastering, and everything in between. Most episodes, we will have a special guest to bring their professional experience to the discussion. So, let's get started.
Hey guys,
Hey guys, how we doing?
season 3.
Season 3.
Oh
Who
my
would have thought
goodness.
we'd be allowed to get
Season
this far?
3.
Wow.
Ridiculous.
Who let us stay on the air this long? Who's responsible for these shenanigans?
I think if you keep putting it out, they don't have a choice, mate. I think
That's
you
true.
You just keep
is
releasing them.
that how it works?
Yeah.
You just keep doing it. You don't apologize. You just keep
Just
shoving
keep
it in
doing
people's
it.
faces.
Somebody will listen or they won't. And
Yeah, they left us unsupervised. That's what it is.
yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, I tell you what. Have you ever had weeks where you're like, I'm super proud of myself this week because I got a whole song done in a week?
One song?
Yeah. Like usually that takes months, but I got 1 week. I got a song done in a week.
I
mean,
just wrote a verse the other day, and I partied like a rock star because of that.
yeah, good man.
Yeah, I just recorded like one track yesterday, and I was like, yeah. Meanwhile,
I heard your
like,
track though. It's good though.
Oh, you did?
good.
Great.
Yeah. It was good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty proud of that. But like meanwhile, like Mike Senior rolls in, like, yeah, I tracked 13 songs in 2 days, and then mixed and mastered 14 in 2 weeks. I don't even think my coffee brews that freaking fast. You know.
I mean, he moved across halfway across the world, so I'm not even convinced that he actually exists in our timeline. He's like in some like upside down parallel universe, something like that. He's
I do
bent the
feel like
space-time
I've been in
continuum.
a slightly parallel time warp dimension.
Exactly.
When I finished the mixing last week, I was like coming blinking out into the world. Like, hello, clouds.
Like
hello,
rub
sky.
your eyes, be like, what day is it?
Yeah, coming out of hibernation.
Well, for those who missed Mike in season 1, first off, go back and listen to that episode because it's brilliant.
Absolutely.
But just to fill in, obviously, for those new listeners, Mike's the guy behind Mixing Secrets, Recording Secrets, Small Studio, Big Sound. I mean, he's pretty much everybody's unspoken internal EQ coach. That's what Mike is.
Yeah, and sorry, one thing to add to that, in Cambridge MT and you know his spots on Sound on Sound. I mean,
he's done it all.
He's like the audio renaissance man. Like,
and seriously, like season 1's episode with Mike Senior, one of my favorite episodes. Yeah,
That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
And today he's bringing something wild. How to record an entire band on location at high speed without losing your mind or the session.
I can't guarantee that last bit, I'm afraid. I think I lost a bit of it, frankly, on the way. Yeah, the deadline was pretty tight on this one.
How many times did your DAW crash? Let's start with that, right?
Oh, now this is a really good one. On the very last day, as I was just finishing up like mix revisions and stuff, both my PCs just kind of black screened.
Oh no.
Like I've got a web one, and I've got my main DAW that I keep off the internet, and both of them black screened, and it was because my keyboard and video monitor switcher thing had died and was sending
KVM.
weird.
Yeah.
It did something weird, and both my computers refused to start up. So there was certainly a good 20 minutes where I thought, oh my word, last day of the project, has the whole thing just gone up in smoke because my PC's died? But no, thankfully it hadn't.
Man.
Well,
was it going through like an update or something, or were they updating? What happened to those PCs?
I don't know what it was. I mean, it was broken basically. Something was bust.
Were you using Pro Tools?
End, I've thrown it away. And
were you
got
using Pro Tools? That's a good first question. Were you using Pro Tools?
Using Pro Tools.
Yeah, Pro Tools is one of the few ones I've used very, very little. Yeah, I used to write Logic notes for Sound on Sound, and then I used Cubase for a long time, and been using Reaper now for probably 20 years.
Yeah.
I've learned Pro Tools at various points. In fact, I even did a mix rescue in Pro Tools at one point. But yeah, I've never really got on with it that well. It's just, never really appealed to me that much. So,
well, so Mike just wrapped up another massive project, and so this is what we're going to talk about today. His 8-piece band, blah blah blah. How do you say it, Mike?
It's Spectaculatius. It's a pun, a German pun on the name of a German Christmas biscuit.
Oh.
Because this band is a seasonal covers band that have been running for about 20 years, and they've got this huge following around the Stuttgart area. And their plan basically is every year they meet up for about a week to rehearse and work up some new arrangements and stuff. And then after that solid week of rehearsal, then they go off and they do a whole bunch of like more than 1,000-seater gigs all around the area of Stuttgart, make a pile of money out of it, sell a bunch of merch, and then it's like, okay, see you next year, same time next year. And about 10 years ago, they kind of got in contact with me and said, look, when we do this rehearsal thing, is it possible you can come along and record us in that same time so that we can record a bunch of songs? You know, we're well rehearsed. We can play these things. Can you just record them and then take them away and mix them? And then get us back a CD that we can then sell as we go around doing all these gigs as merch. And so that first session, it was a 5-day recording session. We did 28 songs in that 5 days. And then we did another one a few years later, again, about 14 songs, I think, in 3 days. And we've just done another one, which was 13 songs in, 3.5 days. And it's just a whole different way of recording that is all about trying to get the raw material as quickly as possible. And then obviously trying to do it in a way that tries to make the mixing as little work as possible as well. Wow. So it's all about like committing and getting the sound right up front.
Well, let's dive into the episode. Let's break down exactly how you pulled this off, how you didn't lose your mind or the session files.
And let's do it.
Well, I mean, the added complication here was that previously I've just filled my car full of all my gear. I mean, this is the way I do all my sessions, is that I have basically a whole studio in boxes. And I can fill my car full of the studio. I go out to whatever location it is, and usually it isn't a studio. Usually it's a rehearsal room, a house, a flat, a set of school buildings or office block or whatever. Build a studio on site, do the recording there, and then bring all the files back to my room and mix it in my room. And I've done this a couple of times with this band and in various other places. But on this occasion, I've just moved back from Germany, back to the UK. And the band still wanted me to do the session. So I actually had to fly over there to do the session, which added an extra complication because I could only bring my PC and a few bits and pieces and a few microphones. I mean, I actually ended up bringing about 90 kilos worth of luggage. But then I had to not only plan my bit of it, but I also had to get them to source all the microphones and the cables and the preamps and all the hardware and the speakers, work out what they had and try and piece together a system that we could use on site. So that was just an extra kind of complication for it. But it was the same. Fundamentally, it was the same scheme we've done before.
That's amazing.
Wow.
I mean, it's just so you're recording the whole thing live,
not multi-track.
Yes,
not multi-track.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first secret to doing things quickly. Is the more people you can get playing and performing at once, the better. And the thing about it is that it's not just the obvious thing that you think, which is that obviously if you record a whole band at once, you save the time of overdubbing each individual person. It also saves you time with things like timing and tuning, because people are actually there in the moment. They're looking at each other. I really noticed sometimes when I did the odd overdub that the timing was so much better when the people could see each other.
Yeah.
You know, when the bass player and the drummer are looking at each other.
Yeah.
And you can see when someone is taking a breath, or you can see when someone's moving towards striking their first chord, and everyone is so much more together. But there's also another really big reason, and that is that from an engineering perspective, it's so much easier to know whether the drum sound or the bass sound or the keyboard sound or the guitar sound are correct if you're hearing the whole thing in context.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you have this, you listen to a mix and it's much easier to go, oh, that tambourine's too loud, because you can hear everything else, or it's too edgy, or whatever it is you want to know about the sound. And so obviously there's a lot of setup and preparation in advance to try and get to the point where you've got everyone going, but it makes all the decisions so much easier, or more easier maybe not, but more straightforward, because you can immediately go, well, obviously that keyboard sound isn't bright enough, or obviously we're using the wrong shaker, or obviously, any number of things. And so that's the first real thing, is record as many people at once as you can. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have a worry that if they record a whole bunch of people at once, that they're going to have trouble controlling the thing, or they're going to have trouble that, on the best take, the guitarist's going to play a duff chord, or they won't be in time, or all this kind of stuff. And I can tell you from just the experience of the last 3 weeks, it's amazing, absolutely amazing what you can fix if you want to. Every one of the songs that we did, there were bits where, the guitarist or the keyboard player wasn't in time with the bass player on a certain note, or, there was a bit where the drummer stumbled a bit, or whatever it is. All of that is actually remarkably straightforward to edit between different takes, if you're taking 2 or 3 takes. Or just, for example, let's say the keyboard player hits his chord a bit early. And even if he were a live keyboard player, which he wasn't in this case, or let's say the guitarist, his amp was in the room, everyone's playing, he hits his chord a bit early. If you slice where the kick drum hits, let's say it's the kick drum that he's early on, and then literally just slide that little bit of audio just before the kick drum a little bit late, you effectively lose the beginning of the guitar chord, but you don't notice because the kick drum hits.
Right.
Yeah.
So immediately you've tightened up that guitar hit. And there's so many things like that. That's just the beginning of what you can do. And the moment you start slicing between takes, or if there are repeating sections within takes, you can, there's a snare hit that is a bit duff. Okay, you just copy that from the previous verse or whatever it is. And as long as you slice across all the mics at once, you don't get any phase problems or anything, and you just don't hear it. You just don't hear it. And so, I spent probably at least 2 or 3 hours editing the takes we did to clean stuff up, correct wrong notes. Maybe the sax played one of the notes flat on his solo. You could just take it out of another take. It's amazing how much you can edit.
I think the first thing,
particularly, of course, if there's a lead vocal in front of it, because everyone's paying attention to the lead vocal, even if it sounds a bit dodgy, they won't notice.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the first thing that strikes me about that, though, is that only works if the musicians you're working with know what they're playing, have rehearsed what they're playing,
they're
all
practiced.
come in, they're good.
Yes. Yes.
You can't get away with that if everybody's a bit shambolic.
Yes. But I think it's an interesting one, because there's always this kind of dynamic going on. It's like on this session, I had basically bass, drums, guitar, keyboards all in one room, but I had all the vocalists in the other, because it's like an acknowledgement. Okay, I might want to take a completely different take from a vocalist, than I used for the band.
Yeah,
And to be able to do that, or, you know, the likelihood is probably I'm going to want to do some tuning and timing correction on most vocals I record. I end up doing some. It's like actually having that separation has some use. Doesn't mean I can't record everyone at once, because I just stick them in another room and they're all on headphones anyway. And so but the issue is like you pick and choose your battles. You go, okay, depending on how good the players are, how much you can rely on it, how much you think you might need to fix, you go, okay, as long as I separate the vocals, I should be fine. But there were situations like in this situation, because there are 4 singers and they're often singing all at once. In the vocal room, I on the last session we did, I built like a cross-shaped baffle out of plywood and perspex.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
like a 4-section.
And then covered it over the top with duvets and down the back all with duvets and everything. And it was brilliant. I was able to
Wow.
record all 4 of these vocalists at once with enough separation that I could do all the tuning and timing correction that I wanted to. You know, in situations where there was just one of them singing, of course, there's no spill, so it's not a problem. In a situation where you've got a lead vocal and a couple of backing vocals, the backing vocals are usually quieter in the room anyway than the lead. And even if you tuned the backing vocals and they sounded a bit dodgy compared to the lead, you probably wouldn't be that worried because the lead's there and the backing vocals are stuck in the mix. And in situations where they're all singing together, any tuning artifacts just would get lost in a 4-part harmony sound.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've got leeway to move. But on this session, I couldn't bring all my stuff. We did our best with a couple of 3 perspex screens that were left over from the COVID period. But the separation wasn't nearly as good. And there, you know, it's like a dynamic thing. You go, okay, you listen to the tracks, you go, have I got enough control here? And it was very clear that the 2 louder singers were breaking through far too much on the 2 quieter singers' mics. So I just went, okay, we'll only ever, if we're going to record a song that has 4 of them on it, you know, if either of the 2 louder singers are the lead singer, then we'll record both the loud singers first. If either of the quiet singers are the lead singer, we'll record the 2 quiet vocals first, and then we'll overdub the other 2.
Yeah.
But again, all that did then was add maybe a couple of passes of vocal recording then onto the end of whatever our recording process was for everything else, which again is pretty quick. So
I think the other thing that strikes me, Mike, about just the beginning of this discussion is it's the bit that I think home studio artists, recording people, absolutely struggle with, and that's the not aiming for perfection at all times. In that, I don't mean it shouldn't be good. I mean, you've gone in there and gone, well, yeah, we're all going to play together. There will be some spill, but it's all complete. It's not, oh my God, my noise floor is tiny bit too loud, or we're going to get some spill between. And I think people with home studios really worry about that. Every single thing has to be perfect.
It's focusing on the wrong things.
Exactly.
You know? Right. You know, you're focusing on bleed when that's not really your
It's
problem,
not an issue.
right? Yeah.
Well,
and,
I mean,
and
we'll come on
not
to that, but
focusing
yeah.
on the right things,
Yeah.
like making sure that you're playing it, you know, as best as you can, being fully practiced and not, you know, well, we'll fix it in post kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the performance,
the thing that,
go ahead.
the thing that everyone listens to is the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the performance that matters.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
1000%.
Anything
Absolutely.
else, there's so much you can do to fix stuff if you need to, but if it doesn't feel good, then yeah. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, I
as an
could see
engineer,
the
it's
benefit
your role to make sure that anything that sounds like it needs to be fixed is fixable. But you know, I mean, obviously, there's an element of experience that's involved in that. I mean, I've done so much mix work and so much mix fixing work that it's like I hear something and I go, "Can I fix that?" And if I can, then oftentimes, if you're doing a really fast session like this, you go, "Okay, well, I'd rather spend time on it after the fact than spend time on it now when I've got a whole studio full of musicians and they just want to play the songs."
Yeah.
So,
But
Yeah,
definitely easier to capture that performance piece when you're recording everybody in the same room, and that's one of the benefits.
100%.
Where like if you're recording one person at a time, you know, you don't have that interaction like what you were saying, and so like even though this is a fast way of doing it, and there may be some, you know, some mistakes and stuff like that. Well, hey, you're capturing the performance, and that's the part that matters, like what you were saying.
Mike's
Yeah.
not having to babysit the musicians. These are professional musicians operating, you know, at a high level. They don't need his direction for the most part. They know exactly what they probably know when they messed up. right? And they can.
Oh, they absolutely do.
They can catch
and in
themselves.
Fact, yeah. And I mean, that's again one of the great things about doing a fourth record with these people is that we've learned from each other.
Yeah.
And a lot of the decisions that you're making, they're making for you. You know, the drummer's already going, oh yeah, I think on that song I'm going to switch to a different beater. Or, you know, well, to come to do a shaker overdub, one of the few overdubs we did is he comes and he goes, oh, which shaker should we use? He's got like 3 shakers with him. So we listen to the shakers, and of course I can do it completely in context because the whole of the rest of the stuff is there from the live take. I go, yeah, I think that shaker's better. And that's a whole mix decision you don't need to make because the players thought, okay, yeah, we might need some choice in terms of the shakers we use or the keyboard patches or whatever it is, you know, and that's you kind of learn with each other. So they make me look good in that respect.
I'm guessing that also speeds up your mix process because if you've not got to EQ a shaker because you've picked the right shaker to start with,
everything was recorded with intention.
Yeah, I mean, to give you some perspective on that in terms of the speed of the post production as well. Roughly speaking, getting a sound for each of these mixes is about 2 or 3 hours work.
Wow.
And then probably another 3 or 4 hours just automation. Because the one thing that, of course, can make a big difference is if you go through and you just make sure that all the good bits are heard. And also just that you make sure the vocals, which are often a difficult part in any mix, that the vocals are absolutely locked into where you want them to be. But for the most part, the mixes themselves, they don't sound very much different than what the band were hearing in the control room. And that again is a really important part of the feedback loop thing, is that if you can get it sounding in the control room like a record, then what happens is the band come in and they don't say anything. They don't go, wow, that sounds like a record. I mean, they might if you're lucky. But the thing that makes me happiest is when they come in for the first playback and immediately the bass player saying to the keyboard player, I think you're a bit early in the second verse, or do you think you should move up the octave? They ignore
musical
you completely.
Conversations.
Yeah, because it means you as the tech guy and the tech element of it are invisible.
Yeah.
And that's one of the big things that I generally, for all my recording work, I try to do. I mean, certainly for this session, before we started recording, they were just rehearsing and I was setting up entirely in the background and just, you know, getting sounds while they're rehearsing so they don't see it happen. So it feels to them like, you know, they come on the first day recording and it feels to them like we do a couple of, like half an hour sound check and off they go. And actually, I've been setting up for a half day before that and listening to all sorts of stuff in the background. So, yeah, they don't feel the setup in the same way that they would if they were inside my head, so to speak, which is probably not a safe place to be.
So do you record like just full takes of the whole song just straight through, or is there any point where like, hey, you know what, we need to redo that chorus? Do we just punch in the whole band?
I would do that. I think we did it once on this session, and it's not often that we've done it. Occasionally we've done it if a part is particularly strenuous for one of the players, and they don't want to have to do the bit that they're having to do the whole way through the whole song. They just need the middle section or whatever it is. But for the most part, I mean, on this record, and it's pretty similar for everything we've done with them, it's like between 2 and 5 takes all the way through. And then there comes a point where they come in either, usually after the second or third take, they come in and have a listen to decide whether they're going to do any more. But then they'll listen to it and we'll decide then and there which is the take we use and which takes we use. And if they decide, okay, actually we like the ending of take 1, but otherwise we like take 2, or we like the solo from take 3, but otherwise we like take 2, I'll do a rough edit then and there so that we actually listen and we sign off on it then. I mean, again, that's another really important thing if you're doing any kind of live band thing like this, is that you get the agreement while the whole band are there. The worst nightmare is if you leave deciding takes and then you're trying to decide between 8 people over email, like, which take, that way lies madness. And also you're right there in the moment. Everyone knows what feels good when they've just played it usually.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that made it very quick then to decide. And a lot of the things were basically just one take. One of the takes that they liked more than the others. It was, I think it was only one where we chopped bits out of 3 takes, but it's pretty quick in terms of how they feel. I think it's also that, of course, there's an element of trust as well, that they knew that if they'd missed a bass note or whatever, that I'd be able to edit it in slightly from some other take, or, you know.
What about the lead vocal? Like, do you ever have like the lead vocalist come back in and do a couple of like just takes on top, just to
Safety
kind of say,
takes.
hey, yeah, can
Not
we comp?
usually. And again,
oh,
this
really?
is one of the advantages of splitting the vocals into another room, is that the lead vocal, of course, would be doing a take on top of all of the band takes. And that, again, that partly helps the band players pace it right, because they can hear the way the vocalist is pacing it. And then, so that means we've got however many takes of the band, we've also got takes of the vocalist, and that those takes are interchangeable between takes.
Yeah.
So I always had 2 or 3 takes to comp from if I needed to.
But I think the thing that...
if there was a phrase I didn't like.
I think the thing that sounds also really good to me is that, and I think this is another thing that people who record at home fall into the trap of, you're comping live, when I say live, with the band there, but you're doing broad comping. You're saying, I like the end section from take 3, I like the solo from take 1. Other than that, we're running with take 2. It's not, I want this line or this word from take 2 and this line from take 3 and this phrase, And I think people, especially in vocal editing, I've seen it talked about online where people, they get them to sing it 10 times and then they split every word and pick. And I'm like, what? You're just making absolute nonsense for yourself. Why have you gone down this level? It doesn't, if you can sing it, and I assume you're a good singer, right? If you're a bad singer, don't track it in the first place because you're a bad singer. But if you're a good singer, you should be. I understand saying I like the first verse from take 1.
Yeah,
but I think I did the second verse better in that's fine. But when you see it go down to individual words that they've tracked across 8 takes, and you think it's just. I think that's what's
working there.
I think it's one of the reasons why we prefer music generally from the 60s, 70s, and 80s to
and
today, because they recorded as a band all together in a studio. Vocals were done on the top, and it was not comped to the end of time. So I don't know. Queen tracks, you can hear mistakes in Queen tracks if you really study them. Break down a Led Zeppelin song, you can hear there's timing issues and that is why they sound good, because somebody hasn't comped it to the end of time sliced it to the end of time and gone, oh no, it's perfect now.
Yeah, I think it needs to be more normalized out there. That making mistakes is okay. That
I agree.
Not being perfectly in tune on time, whatever, it's okay. Like if it's horrible and taking away from being in the moment of the music, okay, maybe redo that or fix it. But for the most part, like it's okay to not be perfect about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know where
that
changed.
to it. Yeah.
I mean, also, it's an issue of. Sorry, go on, Neil.
Oh, no. It brings in the humanity. And I was talking to somebody online about this. They're like, oh, man, if live musicians can use auto-tune now, where's this world going to? And I'm like, well, it has to do with the music industry. The music industry's expectations, what they think audience expectations are of like this, like they want to go see a musician live and they want to see, the exact like perfect audio. And they think that that's the expectation. No, we want to see humanity. We want to see humans performing. And this whole, like, we got to have everything perfect thing takes the humanity out of it. Yeah. And I hate that.
If the band you're going to see sounds like the CD, just stay home and listen to the CD. Like
exactly.
Why? That's not what you're paying to see.
Yeah. And actually, it's an extension of what Ben was saying. This idea of trying to get into too much detail while you're recording.
Yeah.
Another real secret of working this quickly is not doing anything to the mic signals.
Oh, okay.
It's basically just record your mics, record your DIs, and if something doesn't sound right, don't think, oh, I'm gonna EQ that on my master mix. On the whole, I mean, yes, proximity effect can be a problem when you're close to miking stuff. You might want to high pass filter something a bit. You might get kick drum spill in lots of mics and might want to tighten that up with high pass filtering. But on the whole, don't mess with the mic signals, especially if you're recording on location where you can't be sure that you're hearing the correct things. At least you're less likely to muck it up if you just rely on the fact that mics, on the whole, are going to catch something that is roughly like the instrument they're pointing at. And so if something doesn't sound right, first of all, go speak to the performer about it. I spend all the time in there with the players and the performers. Speak to the performer about it. get them to try and change something about the way their instrument sounds. If it doesn't sound right in the room, if it sounds okay in the room, then think about switching the mic or where you're putting the mic. But beyond those things, I just get as far as I can with those things and leave it there. Because if you do that, it means that so many things get easier then as you're running a session like this. It means that if you're not messing with the sound to make it with EQ or something to make it somehow fit the specific song you're working on, when you get to the next song and they change instrument and the instrument sound changes, they have worked out how the arrangement and how the sounds fit together on the new track. And if your mics have just been reflecting what they did pretty much, then it'll reflect it again and it'll work on the next track you do as well. Yeah. So the less you make your setup you try and tweak it to be absolutely perfect on each individual song, the more it'll run from song to song to song. And that makes it so much quicker. I mean, apart from anything, making changes to the sound you're going to always do it most quickly by changing the performer and the instrument and the acoustics and the microphone. And all the other stuff you'll get smaller changes at every stage down the line. So, yeah, it's like I'm not sweating if things sound absolutely perfect. I'm like, can I get something that sounds pretty much okay and not have to do anything with the microphones? And if it doesn't sound okay, then I'll just change the mic to try and make it sound better. I'm not trying to make it sound perfect, because the result of this the whole process is that you're not trying to make the perfect decision at any point. You're just trying to make a decision that is the best of the options that you have. So if I go, oh, I didn't like that microphone, I switched it for this one. It's still not the perfect microphone, but it's a step in the right direction. Then when the drummer goes, oh, well, I'll play it in a certain way, that's another step in the right direction. And when he uses this shaker rather than that shaker, it's a step in the right direction. And each step, you're making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of decisions where each one makes a small improvement. And you get to the end of it, and all of a sudden it sounds like you've done some great bit of magic, where actually you've just spent the whole time going, well, does this sound worse than this one? Okay, we'll go with the one that doesn't sound as bad. You know?
I had that.
Sounds like getting it right at the source and the 80-20 rule, right?
Yeah, but the player makes such a difference. The player makes such a difference, Neil, because I had that demonstrated to me really early on when I was in a studio tracking drums. And we tracked the song. We weren't all playing live. I was tracking the drums first. Tracked the song. The engineer came out to me and he said, look, it was great. Nothing wrong with it. We're going to do another take. Can you play exactly like you did before, but hit the cymbals more gently? And I was like, okay, yeah, sure. Played it, tracked it through. And then when I went up to the control room, he played me, this is your first take, and here's your second take. And the whole kit sounded bigger and more dynamic when I was hitting the cymbals more gently. He didn't move anything, didn't touch anything on the desk, never moved a microphone. And I went away going, okay, so in a studio, that is how you play better as a drummer. You can play the kit how you want, and you play the cymbals much more lightly. And it makes a huge difference to the overheads, the room mic, the everything else, and makes your kit sounds massive. And from that day on, it was like, wow, this isn't even about changing the EQ, changing the compressor. It's just get the player to play in the way that's best suited for that studio.
There's so many records that have been made where the drums, the shells, and the cymbals have been tracked separately because of that very problem.
Yeah.
You know, if you take the cymbals away from the drums, it changes the tonality and the sort of feeling and vibe of the drum kit as a whole. So if you track the drums and the cymbals, the shells and the cymbals separately, that's essentially, what he was guiding you towards is bring the cymbals down a little bit so the shells.
That's weird though. I mean, I can't imagine playing the cymbals without the rest of the kit. But
I think you put dampers on the shells, so you're just hitting nothing, right? Like or you're hitting it, but it's not producing any sound. I don't know.
But you also bring up a great point, Ben, that like sometimes when musicians get into the studio and there may be some things about their playing that they don't realize until they've recorded it and seen how maybe they didn't know they were off timing or strumming off timing with the guitar, or they didn't know like how their vocal sounded, or the drums. Like, hey, I'm a better drummer if I'm not smashing those cymbals, and you don't really realize that until you get into the studio and you record yourself and you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that I wasn't playing as well as I thought I was.
It's a totally different way, not a totally different way of playing, but it is a different way of playing live versus in the studio, right?
And in a sense, this is the advantage of recording effectively flat, which is what I do, is that the musicians, after the take, they come in and listen. And immediately then they mix it for you because they go, actually, I'm hitting my tom fill too loud, or I'm this chord I'm overdoing or whatever. And because they don't think you're messing with it, even though you can't avoid messing with it. I mean, it's just the nature of putting mics together. But because it doesn't look like you're doing anything, they interpret anything that they're hearing as being something that they can sort out, that they're part of it. I mean, apart from just the fact that that's the kind of relationship that I have with the musicians anyway, that it's a kind of collaborative approach.
Yeah. So
another big thing in terms of the speed factor is that it's not just that I'm recording everyone at once. It's that, and particularly in this case, because this is a covers band and they're constantly switching styles and switching instrument lineups.
Oh, the musicians are changing what they're playing too?
Oh, lots of stuff. Yeah, I mean, the guitarist, the electric guitarist is also a saxophonist and clarinet player. So he switches instruments the whole time. The electric bassist is an upright bassist too. So he's playing both of those instruments. You've got the keyboard player who also plays accordion. And you've got the drummer who does a load of percussion as well. And so, and for all the different songs, they have different constellations of these different players. And so one of the tricks to making it that bit of it quick is something I actually learned from researching Daniel Lanois, which is this idea of what he calls stations. So in other words, I'll mic everything up as if everything is playing at once. Mm-hmm. And then just depending on what instruments happen to be on that particular song, those are the tracks I record enable. Right. So it means that even though there may be, 16, 18 tracks on any particular song, probably most, I've got like 40 channels running because I've got all the channels I don't need available there in case I need them. And in fact, if I run out of inputs on the recording system, then I'll have the mics there and plugged up. There's the mics that don't fit into my recording system, and I'll just masking tape the ends of them, saying, okay, this is percussion left and this is percussion right, and then I can hot swap them with like room left and room right, and then and it means that even if I don't have those inputs, I've still got all those options, and the only thing I need to do to change over is literally just plug a couple of plugs in.
Wow. Well, that
and then
leads
try and
me
remember
to
I've done it and not wonder why my room mics aren't there. Pull them up.
So that leads me to the question that I've had bouncing around in my head as you're talking is, what does your recording rig look like for something like this?
Okay. It's all mics and preamps, basically. And obviously monitors on the back end. I have a laptop. I have a 32 in, 32 out AD converter that goes to an RME MADI interface, and that interface then connects with my computer. I then just have literally just mic preamps, as many as I need to run the mics I need, going to the 32 inputs on my audio interface. Then from the outputs on my audio interface, I feed my control room monitors, and in this case, I was doing 4 different headphone mixes. I had 2 for the band. The bass and drums shared one, the keys and guitar shared one, and then 2 for the vocalists. So each pair of vocalists had a headphone mix, but all of them had individual volume control. I made sure the headphone preamps had individual volume controls on them, so they could set their overall volume, and then they just had to discuss with whoever they were sharing their mix with, what they needed to do.
And you're doing that in the box? The headphone mixes are done in the box?
Yeah. Basically, everything that isn't the mic preamps is done in the box. Yeah. So all I do outside the box is the headphone preamp, sometimes the polarity inversion if I can, because that's a big part of that kind of style of recording because there's so much spill going on. And sometimes high-pass filtering if it's there on the preamp. I'll sometimes print that if it's something that's kind of obvious that I'm going to do, but I'll be conservative about it. But the other really big parts of it are not just the front-end stuff, but the back-end stuff as well, in that it's almost, I'd say it's almost more important to try and make sure that the monitoring is as good as you physically can make it when you're recording, for 2 really, really important reasons. The first is that it means that you can actually make more reliable judgments of the sounds you're hearing, and particularly try and get it full range if you can, we actually ordered a little subwoofer. Again, I was having to use their speakers that I wasn't familiar with, but at least I was able to get a little subwoofer and make it that I could hear something going on down at the bottom. You're always fighting against room acoustics and whatever else on location, so it's never perfect, but just try and do the best job you can because it really matters. But also, the other really huge reason why you need decent monitoring on site is that you want to be able to make the band excited.
Yeah.
When you've recorded something, you want to be able to bring them into the room and play it at a reasonable volume so they don't come in and feel like it's all tinny and small when they've just played their hearts out. They can then come in and really vibe out on it, and then they go out thinking that they sound great, and they play even better, and they make it sound better. And so you get this positive feedback loop that is tremendously important, just in terms of morale and all this kind of stuff, because it makes them feel like they're heroes, and then they go out and play more like heroes.
Yeah. I guess especially if you're doing multiple tracks in a day, you need to keep that energy up and that. Yeah,
it can get pretty kind of grueling when you've been going for 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's like, people need to pace themselves. But also the other really big thing that I find really, really important is that I actually have 32 channels of faders, of physical faders.
Oh.
And that's another one of the key things of just moving as quickly as I do. If I'm running 32 channels, you can't be mousing around on that. I need to be able to drag multiple faders. I need to be able to, particularly mute, solo, and polarity invert things and select things directly from a control surface. And it also, just because of the control surface I'm using, it means that I can set up the headphone mixes from my hardware controller.
Oh yeah,
I can flip the faders to be each of the headphone mixes too.
Yeah.
And one of the useful things in Reaper, I don't know whether it's a standard script, but I had someone script me a little action in Reaper that copies my control room mix for whatever channels I selected to whichever headphone mix I want it copied to. So it speeds up the headphone mix creation thing, because it means I'm in the background. My kind of setup process, I'm in the background, I'm setting everything up while they're rehearsing. I actually get a sound going. And then, so then when I want to add vocalists to it, I literally just copy my control room mix directly onto the headphone mixes of everyone. They're immediately hearing what I'm hearing, and then it's just a question of, we need a bit more bass in the drums and bass one, or we need a bit more vocal in the vocals ones, and it makes it very quick. But it's that hands-on control, just to be able to mute, solo, and adjust levels. That's one of the huge things that makes it possible to work as quickly as we do.
And what is your control surface of choice currently?
That's what I was going to ask.
They're these it's this little boutique German company called Asparion. And I just liked the look of the little things because they're modular. You've got each one of these things is about the width of a piece of paper and about the same height. And all it has on it is 8 motorized faders and 3 buttons at the bottom, and that's it. And you can stack them together. So I've got 4 of them, and I can put them all in a row and have 32 channels. And then there's a little brain module that has a few extra assignable buttons and a jog wheel and transport and things like that. But it's kind of a neat little system, and it means that I can, first of all, it's modular, so it's easy to pack up and take around the place.
Yeah.
And it's also great because it fits. It's not too big. It fits on in most kind of decent spaces. It's not very deep. It's only about this deep.
Wow.
So there's a lot of space behind it still.
Well, we'll search that up and include that in the show notes.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because control surfaces are a really great addition. When you're tracking or mixing. I have a control surface. I can't imagine doing without it. It's just part of the workflow.
Maybe 15 years ago, I was still actually tracking on a digital multi-tracker on the Roland VS2480.
Okay.
Precisely because it gave me hardware control, hardware faders.
Yeah.
It's just it just makes things so much more straightforward to do, or faster if nothing else.
Yeah.
With your preamps that you were using, your hardware preamps, did they have EQ included, or was it just a preamp? And do you like to keep them all the same so you have that sort of homogeneous sound, or do you mix and match, sort of whatever's available?
It's whatever's available.
Okay.
100% whatever's available, and I'm not really precious about it. I mean, on this session, I think we used about 22 channels of Behringer preamps. We used another 10 channels of Presonus ones.
Okay.
Because again, this is all just cobbled together. I mean, I got one of the little 8-channel Behringer preamps, and then they had one of the Behringer X32 rack mixers. So I used that, and it has a direct out mode. So I just took direct outs from the first however many preamps. It was 14 preamps, I think it has. And then the Persona Studio Live, I took as close to direct outs as I could from that, and there were like 10 preamps I could use on that. Well, 10 outputs was the restriction on that one.
Right.
And then literally just put those as balanced audio direct out of those machines into my AD converter.
And what's your AD converter?
It's from a company called Ferrofish.
Okay.
It's called the A32, and it's literally just 32 in, 32 out, and then it sends it all over the MADI coaxial interface.
Cool.
Which is great. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of things like light pipe cables, and it's just they're regular coaxial cables.
Yeah.
And it gives me a little bit of an advantage in that I've got like 15-meter cables if I need to, so I could stick my AD converter to get a bit of extra reach if I needed to, because reach can be a problem on location.
Yeah. You can end up with long cable runs, can't you, if you're not careful?
Yeah.
And the problems that brings. And
so
now you mentioned spill earlier as well. And that's another really crucial point about this whole thing, is that I think people, a lot of the time, are far too scared of spill.
Definitely.
And actually, spill is one of the things that made this whole thing possible and makes this whole working at this speed possible. If you look, for example, at my drum close mics, my tom and snare mics, they're all a good 4 inches away from the drum, I would say. They're not really close up.
No.
And yes, it means I get some like ride spill and some hat spill on my tom mics, but I don't have a hat mic or a ride mic, so it doesn't worry me. Because it means that then when I'm mixing, if I've got, let's say, too much hat spill on my tom mics, I'll just automate those mics down when the hat's playing, and then when the tom fill comes up, I'll turn it up again. But the crucial thing is that my tom mics are actually the spill on my top mics is a big part of what makes the kit as a whole sound much better.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that whole element, the fact that the saxophone is coming through 12, 16 microphones in the live room, means that the saxophone sounds better. In fact, in this case, on the previous records I've done with this band, we were using acoustic piano, but they didn't have a grand piano in this place we were recording this time. It was just like 3 rooms of a music school. And I just kind of thought, no, they're not going to get the sound they want out of an upright piano. There were uprights there. And so in the end, the keyboard player just brought his keyboard rig, and we took his keyboard out. But I left his PA up. So you're getting some of his sound, you're deliberately adding spill into the room, which kind of seems completely the opposite of what people want to do, because it meant that I could turn the room sound up and it glued everything together that it wouldn't have done, and I've had to add reverb and whatever else to the keyboard if he hadn't been in the room.
Yeah, I mean,
so it's so important.
I'm a spill geek, right? So I think spill should be in every track ever, because I love it when. So my perfect example is if you listen to the beginning of "Beautiful" by Christina Aguilera and you turn it right up when it's just her vocal at the beginning, you can hear her headphone, the drum track in her headphones that she is listening to, and it is nothing like the final song.
Interesting.
But it's so good because it's like that's what she was singing to when she did the intro.
Yeah.
I think all the people who are going, oh no, you can't have any spill, you're taking away all the fun from everybody later going, oh my God, can you hear the whatever it is?
Yeah.
The bass part in the guitar solo when it all breaks down, because when they tracked it, they had the bass player keep playing, and you don't get any of that if you're all in different studios, all in different rooms with no spill and nobody ever played together, and taking away all the fun.
I hope that somebody's listening and they're wringing their shirt over the spill, and they're just like, I gotta use a gate and get that noise out. Relax. I hope that they're hearing this and it takes a weight off of their chest, that they can go through their session and enjoy it.
Yes. And if you want some concrete examples, at the very first session I did with this band, I actually wrote a whole bunch of articles about it, but I also have a page on my site that gives all of the raw mic signals to listen to, shows what I did or didn't do to them when I was doing the tracking mix, what I then ended up doing to them at the at the mix, and there's a video demonstration showing how I put the mix together.
Wow.
And there's just nothing there. And but it's all full of spill. And it's like demonstrating, okay, how that spill helps. And there are also examples like, if you take one of my mixes and you play it and then you solo, say, the sax mic, the sax suddenly sounds like a not particularly inspiring close mic sax.
Yeah.
Unsolo it, and all of a sudden it sounds alive and like open and like a sax should sound like. It's because of all that other stuff.
Yeah, because it's in the bass.
You're basically multi-micing everything massively, and it makes a huge difference to how good everything sounds.
That's
and it's
really
cool. It's like a natural reverb, a natural delay, because it's coming through the bass mic, the drum mic, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now,
and in
what
fact,
about
if you try and move the instruments as close as possible to each other, that's the other thing. Don't try and separate the instruments over. Otherwise, the stuff sounds like reverb.
Yeah.
Keep them close to each other, and it sounds like multi-miking and like ambience. And then my stuff doesn't sound like swimming in reverb. I can make it dry, but it just sounds so much more three-dimensional, so much more kind of alive, like you say.
Now,
Amazing.
what about phasing issues if with multi mics and all that?
That is the crucial question. That is the crucial point, and it's not rocket science. Again, it's like I was saying. We're taking 100 decisions every day, where you just have a couple of options and you take the one that sounds better. It's literally that. You turn on a microphone, you turn on the next microphone and go, well, you've listened to the microphones on their own and you decide, okay, that sounds like it's promising. You mix them together. And then just flip the polarity on one of them and ask yourself, does it sound better this way or that way? Which do I like it more? And just doing that makes an absurdly huge difference to the way the band sounds. Again, I've done audio examples of this where I've taken a recording where I've done that as I was recording, and then I've gone, okay, well, what if I hadn't flipped the polarity of, say, the tom mics and the undersnare and the whatever, and the whole thing just thins out and falls apart and sounds horrible? It's enormously, enormously important to make sure that you flip polarity. Now, coming back to what Ben says about people obsessing about stuff, it's like, yes, you could start obsessing about like in between phase and little tiny micro delays and whatever else. Leave all that for the mix. All you need to do is get it 80, 90% right, and it'll be fine. And then you'll get a good sound while you're tracking. And then, yes, when I mixed and I had 2 guitar mics, I knew that the guitar cab wasn't moving. I then spent a bit of time going, okay, I'm going to decide whether maybe I should experiment with time matching them, see whether that helps the sound of it, or where I have a bass DI and a bass mic, again, the same kind of thing. Yes, spend some time refining it there, but when you're tracking, just flip the polarity, and whichever one sounds you like the sound of more, go with that one. It's not even an issue of correctness. It's just like whichever the one you like the sound of.
Right.
Usually for me, that's the one that sounds a bit fatter and a bit fuller. Yeah. But it's entirely up to you.
Any other processing on the way in with compression or anything like that?
In terms of what I recorded, no. Okay. I mean, high-pass filtering is something that I do use, and I like to have a variable high-pass filter on a preamp out of choice. Yeah. Primarily because one of the things that the flexibilities it gives you is that if you're using any kind of directional mic, it has proximity effect. So as you decide where you're going to put it, how close you're going to put it, the proximity effect is something you can't control. It's linked to how close the thing is to the source, and also so having a high pass filter there helps you to have control of the proximity effect kind of independently from the miking distance, which is kind of useful in terms of sound. That's actually a useful bit of processing, and it's super quick to set up. But the other reason why I like high pass filtering for tracking is that if you think about it, that there is an inherent problem with any situation where you have multiple mics picking up the same instruments, particularly directional mics, is that the on-axis sound of a microphone is always brighter than the off-axis sound of a microphone. And it means that, on the whole, your spill will tend to create a build-up of lower frequency spill. And so if you want to try and get a reasonably decent like control room sound that doesn't sound woolly and whatever, is just to go through and take out the kick drum and the bass amp spill if you're using a bass amp on things that don't need it, but just because it helps keep that bit of the mix clear. It's kind of an inherent nature of the way the way spill is picked up is it tends to sound duller. So the high pass filter helps me with that as well. So I do some kind of safety high pass filtering. If I don't want a load of like boomy kick drum on my overheads, then I'll just high pass filter them at a couple hundred hertz or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But all these decisions are very, very quick decisions.
Yeah.
I just
Well,
put it
I
up.
think that's...
Now, in terms of other processing, though, in terms of the mixing stuff, I will often put a bit of compression on a vocal or compression on bass, because those are both, particularly at DI bass, because those are very high dynamic range. Sometimes sax and clarinet too are quite high dynamic range instruments. But because that sound goes back to the players themselves, I don't go wild with it. And I deliberately do it in a way that tries not to like change the sound I've sent to their headphones. So I'll take 2, 3, maybe 4 dB off at the loudest for a vocalist, maybe. But I won't go any further than that when I'm tracking.
Something very gentle and
oh yeah, and that's all
for
on the monitor
tracking
channel.
Purposes. Yeah, because then in the mix you
it's,
might add
it's
more.
It's for the control room mix. That's all it's for.
Right.
And there are things that I do. Obviously, you're trying to vibe the band up, so you want to try and give something that sounds a bit like a record. And a bit of compression on the vocal and bass helps.
Yeah.
A little bit of reverb can also help. Particularly vocalists, they're dry compared to the band, so I'm often adding a little of just short ambience to them. And on the kind of more ballady things, then I'll add a bit of long chamber reverb. That's usually fairly forgiving. It doesn't kind of overemphasize your sibilants and things. And a bit of bus compression. That's the other thing. Okay. I'll have a bus compressor taking 2 or 3 dB off. It just makes it sound a bit more mixed.
Yeah.
Even when it's not really mixed.
yeah, totally.
So with the band, you were on location, away from the comforts of your studio and your general equipment.
Yeah.
When you're tracking with a band, like the way you did, do you follow the order of songs the way that they wanted to record it, or do you change the order in a way that makes sense to you? Like mics that are going to be used, we'll use these sets of mics for these first 3 songs, then we'll switch to these 3 songs, and or did they want a recorded? Did they want a final product that sounded like they were playing live, like a sort of concert almost, where they might blend from one track to the next, kind of thing?
It was in this case it wasn't that, but my general approach with recording in general is to start from the experience that the players want to have.
Okay.
It's one of the reasons why I first started recording with these people and why they keep calling me back is because they enjoyed the experience of doing it, because it's fun.
Cool.
And if literally, I'm just in discussion with another player here locally in or band here locally in Cambridge, and he was saying, I'd actually quite like to record my vocals in the room with the band. So it's like, okay, that's what we're going to do, and you just you adapt to the way the performers want to go, because the thing that matters more than anything is the performance. So that's always the way I come back to. Now, going back to your actual question about what order you do the songs in when you're doing an album project like this. Usually there's not that much of a sense that to get that performance they need to go from one song to the next song to the next song in the album order. And so in that respect you can try and make things a little bit more practically, make sense a bit more practically.
Yeah.
Like in this instance we did a lot of the more electric, the songs with electric bass and bigger drums and electric guitar. We did a lot of those earlier. And then later on, we were getting to the upright bass, more kind of brush kit, percussion, accordion, like clarinet parts and things. Right. That all then, so you move a little bit more naturally into, okay, this is the way these kinds of setups, and it also made it a little bit easier then, in terms of not having to keep switching microphones around and switch tracks. There was a little bit more you could duplicate from session to session,
right, as
you move from song to song, but. There wasn't a huge time saving there, but sometimes there are practicalities. Like there was a huge, like very much more modern like production number that we had to do on the second day. So it was like, okay, electric bass goes back in, we come back on the big drums. It's just, you have to respond to the availability of the musicians. Sometimes there's all sorts of practical concerns, but if you can streamline things a little bit so you're not having to completely reinvent your mic line up or your mic setup, that can help. Yes, keeps you in the same headspace.
Yeah. Were you performing the mix, doing the mixing there with them for those 2 weeks, or did you go back home and do that in your studio?
I came back here and did that basically in my own time.
Okay.
For most of the tracks, it was a few hours editing. Particularly sorting out vocals often, and deciding like whether any little bits need to come from different takes, sorting out timing and tuning if it needed it. Obviously, sorting out any kind of live like band take edits that I wanted to do, getting to the point where I felt, yes, this can be mixed. If there were some overdubs, that was sometimes a situation where I found myself more having to concern myself with like timing issues because there wasn't the same visual cue. Mm-hmm. And then, like I say, 2 or 3 hours getting a sound usually, and then probably 3, 4, 5 hours automation to make it feel like everything stays in the right position. And in fact, that's something that I find myself doing during playbacks with the band on the tracking session. Every time I played the back of track, I'd always have my hands on the faders of the lead parts. Your lead vocal. If a solo came in, then I'd bring that up for the bits that need to be. You're always kind of there because mixes are dynamic, and if they can't hear the vocal, then they can't judge whether it's a good take for the vocal.
Are you keeping your faders armed in automation mode while you're doing this, or are you taking note of the moves you're making?
I had that as an option, and I think if it were a situation where there were going to be more overdubs, then I would have just enabled automation, because I do all my automation normally physically on a fader, and it was all set up to do that.
Yeah.
But I didn't end up actually using it because, we played through 3 different takes to decide which was the right one, and I just wrote it as we went. And then once they decided the actual tape we were going to use, I wasn't going to need to ride that again because there weren't any overdubs. It was like, okay, well, so I didn't need to do it. But yes, I could easily imagine doing it if it were a situation where you did a live band take and you were going to do multiple overdubs on it. You're like, yeah, actually, I want that balance to make some sense.
Amazing.
But it's so quick to do. You can do it in real time. So, yep.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit, if you would, about your move from Germany to the UK, because you said you're back in Cambridge, which is the namesake of your website, and
indeed, it's where I founded the company,
right? and I know that you and Ben have had a chance to meet up for coffee. Hashtag
it was great.
jealous.
Yes, it was fabulous.
Talk about that move, packing up your studio, unpacking it, integrating your new space, and getting accustomed to that sound. All that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always an opportunity when you do move to go, okay, what was useful in the last setup? What am I going to retain on this setup? And it's also always a question of, well, things are different this time. Like, and so in every situation, you're still having to learn the room, still having to work out where you put stuff and how you fit stuff in. I mean, we were in a bigger house in Germany than we are here in Cambridge. So the biggest struggle, to be honest, has just been navigating around all the boxes and whatever else while you're trying to fit stuff and install stuff. I deliberately kind of front loaded some of the studio install stuff. When we first came, I dedicated like a couple of weeks where I was just going to get busy with the woodwork and whatever else. And so I've kind of built it out. I've got just basically a rectangular room out in the garden. You can see some bits of acoustic treatment above me here. All my acoustic stuff is modular anyway. So I could just pull that down and I just hang it in different ways and put it in different ways. But it's just how I put it. But I've installed like a bunch of stuff. So I've got like big corner traps and I've got a big trap behind me and that's all wood framed. And so now it all works, but it just all looks a bit like a home woodwork project, which is what it is. And yeah, but I still haven't found my my roll of white acoustic fabric that I'm hoping to cover it with and make it look slightly less like you're sitting in a workshop. But it's the full Star Wars fully operational battle station situation at the moment.
So you went from a larger room to a smaller room.
I did, yes, yeah, and it's been interesting doing that. I mean, I've had several rooms. None of them have been in any way ideal or purpose designed, and I've always had to kind of just do my acoustics as a reactive thing. Here, just because I think it's a smaller space, I'm getting more of overall room gain. Just in terms of the low end.
Yeah.
You move out of the center of the room, and as you move towards the edges of the room, just the low end just tips up.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's an inevitable issue of when you're sitting mixing position, you go listen anywhere else in the room, it'll just feel like there's more bass. So I'm having to get used to like, okay, where I stand and where I make certain judgments when I'm in different bits of the room. But it was the same. It's been the same in any room I've ever been in, and there's that learning curve that you have to kind of get over. I was a little bit concerned doing this project so quickly after moving that I'd be on the wrong side of that learning curve, and it didn't work out too badly. I mean, there were some bits that I misjudged slightly, but it was fine in the end. You know, I compared to various things I'd referenced.
Yeah.
But it's functioning now. It works. I've changed some things, and we'll see how things developed. I've learned some more about the Helmholtz absorbers, and still experimenting with a few bits and pieces.
Yeah, it forced you to buy any new pieces of gear or shed any gear that you just didn't need anymore?
Well, I needed a new KVM switcher for a start. but I mean, I need to, and I honestly, I need to buy myself a new computer. I mean, again, that was another difficulty of this recording session, is that I have a laptop that I've been using for like 10 years to do location recording stuff.
That's a long time in laptop years.
And it is still perfectly functional, except about twice a day it freezes.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating, that kind of thing, because you can't take it to a computer shop to get it repaired because it operates fine.
Yeah.
And you can't take it on a session because you can't have it freezing twice a day. So, like, in about 4 days before the session, I had to buy myself a new laptop and get that set up to do it. So it was another extra complication. It's just been a run of them.
Yeah, but
I'm sure
that's a huge relief. You don't have to worry about the freezing.
It was. It was. It was a relief to know that it ran fine.
Yeah.
I really like the Surface laptops because they usually have a detached keyboard or whatnot. You can just fold it up, and it's really small. And it actually has, so I use it for live music. I'm also recording my sessions at the same time through a Behringer XR18, not the 32, but and it works really, really good. It's just an i7 computer, but it's basically a tablet with a keyboard that I can just fold up and throw in my backpack, which is over there.
Yeah, for tracking, that's probably more than enough. Probably doesn't have more than
the processor demands
gigs of RAM,
aren't huge.
I imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't need to get a particularly high. I think it cost me about like 700 quid, something like that, for a like laptop system, basically.
Yeah.
But I've got to do the same with my studio machine too. I mean, I'm still running Sony Vegas 2013 on it.
Wow.
It's about 12, 13 years old, this PC.
Yeah.
And I've got to replace it.
Are you on Windows 10?
Yeah, PC man,
7.
I'm guessing.
Oh, you're long out of support.
Oh, way. But then it's because this machine is not an internet machine.
Okay, good.
It's never been on the internet.
Good. Yeah. You don't want that.
And my philosophy has always been buy a computer that is pretty powerful. Oh, that's very pretty
nice one.
computer there, Neil. That's pretty powerful. It's not hot rodded to the point where it's unstable, but that is powerful and stable, and then just leave it alone. And I do my best to leave it alone completely.
No software
and that's how
updates.
And that's how I get long use out of my PC. In fact, when I spec'd this one for the studio session, they were scratching their heads a bit about it, but I had to explain to them, like, no, I don't need internet. No, I don't want this. No, I don't want that. I want a dumb thing that I can hit record on.
I know studios that are running Mac Pros that they've had for 15 years, and they're still on the original version of whatever it is, Pro Tools or whatever it is that they installed 15 years ago, and they've never touched. Because it just does audio recording. Doesn't they
as
don't
long
mix
as they
on
don't
it.
connect it to the internet.
Yeah, they don't mix
Seriously.
on it.
Yeah.
They don't use any plugins. They don't. It's literally just audio tracking, and it requires nothing more than what they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I have a separate recording system than a mixing system. So I just know I switch it on and it works.
Yeah.
And it's always going to work until it freezes twice a day. But
always going to work
10
till it
years
doesn't.
use out of it, so I can't really complain.
No, absolutely.
Wow. Well, we're kind of running up against time here, so we want to make sure we get everybody on to their rest of their day. But Mike, two questions to sort of wrap up. One, what was obviously one of our questions we like to ask, and I'm not sure if we asked this to you when you were on here
I don't
first
think we did.
season. We ask a lot of people what their sort of favorite plugin is, Desert Island plugin. One they can't live without.
Right.
I'm curious to know what that is for you, but more importantly, I'd like to know what your MVP piece of equipment or plugin or software was for your mega tracking session. Like what saved the show, what saved the day, what could you not have done any of this without? And also, what's your favorite plugin?
I'll tell you what. I mean, it's difficult to say in a sense in that I tend to focus more on technique than on gear.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were gonna put an MVP kind of sticker on something, it would be on the Superlux R102 ribbon mic.
Okay.
It is, again, just a dumb hunk of iron with a ribbon in it. There's nothing to it. It is, although it's actually an active one. You feed it phantom power. It has an active.
Cool. It's got active electronics in it. Cool.
But I mean, I don't know how. From memory, I think it's less than $200. This microphone, and it's so good on anything that's percussion. It's so good for close miking, like any kind of brass. All the sax stuff on this record was that microphone. All the percussion stuff on this record was that microphone. It's just, it's not an impressive microphone, but it just manages not to sound harsh, and things that are recorded through it just fit into a mix. They don't kind of shout about themselves. And yeah, I actually now have 3 of them. I don't even know whether you can still buy them, but
that's cool.
I have 3 of them because they're so cheap and they're so good.
Well, the price on Reverb just went up by about 30% now.
Yeah, maybe. I think you might even still be able to get them new. I think I thought there was some guy in the States who was still selling them. And I actually got replacement ribbon modules for them too.
Oh, cool.
Just because I thought, well, these things are gonna break.
Yeah.
I am a danger to anyone with a soldering iron, so I'll get these replacement modules that I can slot in and then send the old module off to someone to re-ribbon it if I need to.
No, that's a good idea.
But yeah, they're brilliant.
We'll check that out.
People are very worried about ribbon mics. They're worried that they'll break them. But
yeah,
I have yet to break a ribbon on these mics.
But you said it takes phantom power too, so does that mean that it's got like its own like built-in cloud lifter sort of?
I think it must have something like that in there. Yeah.
Okay. That seems to be more common lately.
MVP.
Awesome.
Yeah. And ribbons are great.
Yeah.
And favorite plugin. Oh, it's so difficult. And the thing is, I use so few like payware plugins now. I use mostly Reaper plugins and a whole bunch of freeware. I can tell you what my favorite freeware set is straight away, and that is from a company called it was by a developer called Tone Boosters.
Yeah,
and it's actually a set that they discontinued but made available in its discontinued form.
Oh, cool.
They're bus tools and track tools or track essentials or something like that. It has my very favorite dynamic EQ. It has my go-to de-esser. It has my a really, really good tape emulator. It has an excellent bus compressor. I also use its de-esser, but it's regular de-esser rather than it has a spectral de-esser. That's the one I really like.
Oh,
it's just a brilliant set of plugins. I use them all the time.
That sounds really
cool. Stuff is good.
But I'd say if I were going to say in terms of a third-party plugin, probably increasingly the plugin that's becoming the only thing that will do that thing for me is Gullfoss.
Yeah.
The spectral processor plugin. It's like one of those things. I've tried out so many of those kind of snake oil style plugins that go, oh, this just makes everything sound better.
It really
almost
does,
all of them fail the put it at the same loudness and decide whether you like it, or put it at the same loudness and decide whether you could do the same with a multi-band compressor.
Yeah.
And it's the only one that I've found where I go, well, I can't do that. And also that I'd say 90% of the time, I finish a mix, I put Gullfoss on it, add like 20-30% on each of its parameters, make it a little bit less bright because it tends to brighten things a little bit. Do the bypass test and go, yeah, that's better. It's about as close to a button that says better on it as you can get for me.
It's really an amazing plugin. I was telling Dan Millis, mastering engineer we had on in season 2, he asked me about it because I had mentioned I use it, and he demoed it. And like 2 days later, he's like, damn it, I have to buy this now.
Yeah.
he's like, it's just it. Like he uses the mastering version, which I haven't really used, and he's like 1-2%. It's perfect, and it really is one of those like, just turn it up, and it just makes it better.
Yeah, it sits in my mastering
and it just follows
all the time.
Yeah, same.
It just follows my general approach as like, if you match the loudness and A/B something and it makes something sound better, then that's a reason to use it.
Yeah, it's better.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
Yeah,
it's better. It's
a bit of a pricey plugin, but it's worth.
Every
it's probably
cent.
one of the more expensive plugins I have.
Yeah.
That one, but it's like that's what you're going to spend money on if you're going to spend money on it. Things that do something that is absolutely unique. I mean, I don't like buy the latest Neve emulation or whatever else. I've got a few little bits and pieces like that, but it's not. That's not something that's going to make my wallet out. Make me get my wallet out. Something like Entropy EQ that does something that nothing else does, or like Sound Radix Surfer EQ. These are things that do things that are very specialized and that nothing else does.
Yeah.
Or Melodyne is the same kind of thing. It's like those are the things that you got to spend money on because it's an actual functionality rather than this might provide a flavor of something. Flavor you can get from freeware.
Yeah, another type of compressor.
And I do
another type
frequently.
of EQ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Learned so much
great.
again. Always.
Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, my head's all full of this kind of recording stuff at the moment, so I'm still buzzing off it. I mean, recording is just so much more fun than mixing. It just really is. I mean, I enjoy mixing. I can do mixing, but recording is just so much more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. The energy being in the room, you're part of the creative team as opposed to just sort of, making something better, right?
And aren't musicians just nice? They're just fun to hang around with.
Some of them are.
Yeah, for the most part. The ones who get the callback are.
Yeah,
right,
definitely.
Yeah. No, very cool. This is great. We'll post links to your website and everything, and that ribbon microphone. Definitely, that's really cool. Are these? We'll post a link to the band as well. And I think you mentioned that you did a session previously with this band that is on the multi-track side.
I'll send you a bunch of links that relate to this because this band have been great in that they've been happy for me to write about the stuff I've done, and so I've actually written about both the previous sessions we did, like what changed, and there's loads of audio examples and stuff, and some of the multi-tracks from the library, and there's lots of stuff you can learn from it.
We'll put all of those in the show notes for everybody to consume. This is great. Mike, thank you so much for coming back on the show and talking about this.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure. And congratulations on a third season.
Thank you.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
They've greenlit us for another season.
It's an achievement.
We're going for season 4?
Oh, yes.
Who's paying us? Nobody.
Nobody. That's the answer. That's why they can't fire us.
That's why they can't fire us. Wow. Well, Mike, thank you so much. And we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely. A pleasure as always.
Thank you for listening to Sound Discussion. Your hosts are Ben Holmes, Neil Merchant, and me, Nate Kelms. Our theme song is composed and recorded by Jojo Timmerman. You can find us on the internet at sounddiscussionpodcast.com, or you can drop us a line at sounddiscussionpodcast@gmail.com. Additional show notes for this episode can be found on our website or in the description area of your podcast player. A big thank you to our guest for taking the time to chat with us today, and to you, the listener, for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of our discussion. We look forward to having you join us again next month on another episode of Sound Discussion.
Certainly, when I finished the mixing last week, I was like blinking out into the world. Like, hello clouds, hello sky.